water is an integral part of the process. And I've always had a great respect for water in our lives. And when I came to Grand Rapids the first time and recognized how connected people were to water here, it seemed like the perfect place to have an homage to water as an element. So if you look at the piece across from us in the atrium here, you'll see a quote that has been belted into a very a piece of fabric. Well, I've belted the words into this piece of fabric. And this is a quote from Lao Tzu, who is a Chinese philosopher. And I'll read it. It's, "The highest motive is to be like water. Water is essential to all living things, yet demands no pay or recognition. Rather, it flows humbly to the lowest level. Nothing in the world is as soft or yielding as water, yet for dissolving it hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it." So to me, this is actually sort of guiding words that I have sort of followed in my life. And I believe that felt as a material is also a very humble fiber, because unknown to most people, felt is integral to our everyday lives as well. It's under our carpets, it's in our felt pens, it's in our engines and machines, it's on our tennis balls. It's like in all of our lives, yet it's this unsung hero. And I've been very honored to be able to take it out from under the carpet and out of the closet and bring it here in center stage. So one of the questions people have been asking me is, did I design this piece for this hallway? And the answer is yes. I came to the museum. It's called a site-specific piece, and that's where I chose this spot. And I chose it for a number of reasons. But also, I was very inspired by this spot as well. So first I'll talk about my inspiration. You heard about water being sort of the essence of my inspiration. But the second part was this space and this Ellsworth Kelly piece, which to me represents a very important part of the art world. It's very mathematical, it's very clean, it's very geometric, it's very minimalist, and it's an elegantly executed piece of art. However, when I stood in the middle of the atrium and I looked at this gorgeous building, which is the first LEED Gold building, it felt like it was missing something. And that part was the complement to this hard-edged art world. And that complement is the organic, the wild, the uncontrolled, the textural thing that we are all have in our genetic history, but maybe in our current environments we don't experience it. So it was interesting, but within the first 5 minutes of seeing that entranceway, I could see these columns of fabric that looked like water, that had a gradation of color rather than this line across it, and really spoke to the Ellsworth Kelly piece in a way that made the space feel whole to me. And that was the first thing I saw. That was, and it was very odd because once I saw it, I didn't even know, I'd never made pieces of fabric that big before. And it was a challenge to execute this vision. But one thing you have to know about making felt is everything starts out much larger than when it's finished. So all of that voluptuous texture comes from the simple fact of shrinking. So those column pieces that are now 34 feet long started out 68 feet long. They were twice as long, and they were laid up on a floor with raw fiber. Everything started out, and I'll pass this around, everything started out as raw fiber, just like what you'll hold in. Now, the remarkable thing about this raw fiber is that it's wool, and wool has a special structure to the fiber that allows it to felt. Now, it's my belief that we have the sheep to thank, because the sheep over millions of years has evolved a heating and cooling system that's allowed it to be in any climate and still be, it's a walking air conditioner. So the wool itself helps it stay cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Well, the people of the Central Asian plains figured this out, they say at least 9,000 years ago. We're not sure because felt decomposes so rapidly in the earth that the only felt that we've found now is 9,000 years old, and that's in like frozen tundra in Central Asia or in Russia. But they have found felt hats and felt ornaments and felt clothing in tombs that have been frozen. So this structure, only wool will felt in this particular way. One of the things I think makes felt be so misunderstood is that you can buy acrylic felt, and most of us are aware of these squares you buy in the store, and after you use them, they get all kind of balled up and fall apart and look really, really ugly. Well, that's because it's not wool. It's acrylic. It doesn't have the little barbs on the hair that the wool fiber has. So I say when I do my art that I am actually collaborating with the raw material. So I have learned what the raw material wants to do naturally, and I listen to it as a material. I am inspired by it. I make lots of mistakes and look at what those mistakes have done and try to be open-minded, try to be like water and sort of accept it and work with it. So sometimes I'll make a sample of a piece of fabric and I will be inspired by one little square inch and try to figure out how to recreate that inch. But it's all because of these processes that are naturally occurring.